So I just finished 3Enoch. And it's a wild ride. Like, just that. Heaven does not sound like a place I would want to go. The angels are brought before God, and if they sing too soon, not at the appointed time, if they get a note wrong, if they sing a word wrong, into the fire. And a new one pops up and takes its place. Of course, they go through the burning, the cleansing, become like coals, and they're standing behind him after that. But Metatron, who was Enoch, is sitting where God told him to sit, doing what God told him to do, and Guy Asher comes up and says, "Oh, there are 2 divine presences in heaven." Metatron, who used to be Enoch, gets whipped for it. So if an innocent person comes up and goes, "Oh, it's God," the one that the innocent mistakes for God gets whipped. And then there are beings that when they want them to sing, they whip them. But interesting, because I forgot to mention, it was in one of the other, either first or second Enoch, that the rod, the iron rod, that Jesus, Yeshua, whatever he's going to be called at that time, the iron rod is for his people to lean on when they feel weak. That's what the iron rod is for. Not for beating anybody. I mean, I'd been told it's like just a little tap for guidance, No, it's for the shepherd and his shepherds to lean on. And the little flying ants are going to start their new colony, so I send them outside to do that. The camper was used for storage before I came here, so it was packed and it was just overrun by whatever overruns storage places outside. So anyways, yeah, I had decided, when I was in the New Age movement, and they're always describing heaven and the laws of creation, so that they can, they're the masters of creation, and how they're the ones from Atlantis who put headbands on mankind, but now they've decided to take the headbands off. The headbands were coming off because it's the time of the righteous generation. So, but anyways, I was working as a spiritual advisor, and I immensely helped some people. Somebody decided not to take their life. Another one, her entire life changed after I said the right thing to her. But then some guy called me up and he wanted to kill himself, and what do I say? I don't know how to deal with that, And then another woman called and she wanted to know if I could help her find the ones who murdered her daughter, who killed her daughter. And I got the message from her daughter, "No, don't look, don't go look," and tell her not to go looking. So I told her, I said, the spirit of your daughter's here. She says, "Don't go looking for these people." She's like, no, I gotta know. So I'm like, all right. So I just tune in. Oh no! I mean, as soon as I focused my energy that way, they immediately no, I just told the woman, I said, how dare you? How dare you put me in danger by asking me to go do that? No. And I decided that, all this information from the New Age movement that talks about all this magic and mystery stuff and the heavens, and no, it does not serve anybody in any way, shape, or form. What I want to know is how to help people be happy, not struggle and suffer so much in their daily walk in life. And so, of course, I was introduced to the law of attraction, and it works, except for the entities that prevent the good things from coming to you because they don't want it to happen. And then I went in to do the shadow work, and doing that. That's another endless thing. And then finally, I didn't get any resolution, like long-term sense of, whoa, something has changed inside me for the better, until I was exposed to Nathan Reynolds and the prayers to say to renounce the generational curses and vows that family made. And so that's what got me interested in looking back into scriptures and all of that in a big way. But during that time that I was like, no more of this heavenly BS, I was getting signs from heaven, like this big old hand showed up with this picture of a white horse, and I'm like, thank you, but no, I don't want a picture of a horse. I would love to have a horse of my own, but a picture of a white horse, no thank you. And so it was pointed down, there's a herd of horses, choose any one you want. And they were, all brown, just your typical colored horse. And I asked what my purpose was, and I saw a big hand reach out, and a rose blossom and a bunch of crystals or diamonds, or I'd say crystals, came showering out of it down. And I had, of course, the voice of, then it was Jesus and Satan, and they're both tugging at me, both going, and I was like, constantly in my head. And neither of them had any clearly definitive, oh yeah, So I was like, okay, what spirit is like strong and powerful and been here a long time? The mountains. No. The mountains were born out of lava, grandmother lava, and I just stomped my foot. Grandmother lava, help! And boom! The heavens around me became silent. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then the next day, an earthquake was reported near me. But I had been taken up into the heavens, level by level, introduced and endowed. My spirit was, because I got no sense of endowment. My body didn't, or any increase of power, but I knew my spirit was being lifted up and introduced. And I know I wasn't hallucinating, because I had stopped listening to the Crimson Circle religiously, but every once in a while I'd tune in, and they were going to do a tour of heaven. So I'm experiencing all the stuff, and then afterwards I go to listen to the channel about the tour of heaven that they were taking the Shaumbra on, and it just, I hadn't been there for the channeling because I was going through this being brought up through heaven thing, and I go to listen to the channeling, and it turned out there was an unscheduled, unexpected event in heaven, so they had to cancel the tour. Like, seriously. And of course, further down the line, I saw the stone with 2 names written on it, sealed on my forehead, scrolls unrolled in front of one eye and then the other, and all the wackadoodle stuff. Which I just say it that way because people look at me like people would look at me in the mainstream. No, actually, I don't think they would anymore. But at the time, they would have just looked at me like I was wackadoodle, going to the state office. I'm sorry, I can't work. I'm too distracted interacting with heaven all day. Give her drugs, dumb her down so she doesn't sense the voices and she can go to work instead. Be, another hamster on their wheel generating money and power for them. But now I know people I can talk to about this. But it's funny too, because I'll recount the things, about how I went through the period of miraculous healings going on around me and stuff, telling it to a woman at a church when I was there for a luncheon. And when I was done, she's like, oh, and her eyes lit up. Oh, and her eyes lit up. And I had already told her how I read through every version of the Bible, and I had all these experiences, and how well I believe I know God and everything. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the conversation, her face just drops, and she says, well, maybe you could come to services sometime and learn more about the Bible from us. I've observed their services. It's the same ritual. Enchantment with a song. Pass the offering plate. Message. Disenchant. The end of the enchantment is marked with another song. And then everybody mills about and does their business. It's like... So yeah. I'm happy with my choice that I decided not to delve into more heavenly things and the sciences and metaphysical stuff, and decided, how do I do the day-to-day stuff. But practicing the law of attraction is as simple as, like Jesus said, focus on what is good and what is righteous and what is true. It's a matter of finding out what is righteous and what is true. That is the issue. Man, you gotta dig for that stuff. And then you gotta let spirit, which is called intuition, guide you into what you're which part is true and which part is not. It is a full-time job. It is. Holy moly. So was there any other impressions left? Oh yeah. Metatron is the lesser Yah. God placed on him to be called certain names that are the same as God. But do not mistake him for God, because that'll get him whipped. Any bigger angels, I'd be like, no, don't come near me. I don't want to. No, I don't want to see you whipped. No, don't come near me. I don't want to see you whipped. And then they'll get whipped for not being able to get through to me. It's just the sight, and I know that God is not the same character as the one portrayed in which one of the Thor movies where he goes to the councils of the gods that are hiding out from the god killer sword? And I think it's Zeus with the lightning bolt. You know? It just... God himself doesn't act like that. But his courts just seem to be run like that. Like... And I'm sure it makes sense. And it talks about how he holds back from doing anything right now. Like, this one Satan, who is head over, the angels, that the fallen watchers, they sit there and they write every day the sins of Israel so that God will, do something bad to them to reprove them. And they give them to certain angels. I think it's the seraphim. And then the seraphim, they know God doesn't want to destroy them, so they just take them and they burn them. So God doesn't have to see them. So, if you don't know otherwise, it would be like God's not taking complaints and the Israelites can do whatever they want and God will never even see it, which is not true. It's just God doesn't want to hear about it, and he's not going to act right now because he's standing in front of a curtain that has every deed of every person, every thought, down through all the generations that will be. It's already there. And he's staying his hand to see, this is how it goes, and then he'll show his hand. I mean, people are going sterile. How many that's why they're getting AI into robots so that, they can transfer consciousness into bodies, and we got Greys from the future coming and saying that, they went sterile, couldn't reproduce. There is a last generation. Like, I would never... I would have thought, the time's cut short. So what's being cut short from is all of these fallen angels and Nephilim and stuff keeping our spirits and souls in prison and then transferring them into, AI run biological combination robot things. What do they call it? Metahumans or whatever it is. But that's what he's cutting short, because the time of the natural human body's done, because they squashed our fertility. Like, the great aliens come, we're from your future, and we did this to ourselves. We used to be... No. These evil spirits are putting it in the heads of people with bodies, or they're taking them out of their bodies, or they're keeping them prisoners in their bodies. They're overtaking the human bodies, and they're commanding that every child, as soon as it comes out of the womb, poison right there, toxins, and the skies are sprayed from them. We're eating plastic, so our bodies starting to hold the plastic in it because it can't digest it. And I was like, oh, these, I was shopping for plates because I might be moving into a place, and these are rather inexpensive and they're durable and they're made of straw, so they're better for the environment, but they're long lasting. How is something made with straw long lasting? So I look it up. The bamboo and straw plates that are supposed to be eco-friendly are held together with formaldehyde. And I thought plastic coming off the plates was bad enough, and non-stick surfaces on the pans was bad. No. And so I'm like, all right, Cornell, that's a ceramic type thing. So, it's made with I look up the word formaldehyde. The whole plate's just made of formaldehyde. So I finally found clay plates that weren't expensive. And I have glass water jugs to store my drinking water, which hopefully doesn't have to be city water. I have a friend with a well, so hopefully I'll be able to get my drinking water from her if there's not a spring close by. Because every once in a while you find a freshwater spring that's been tested and okay for the public to use. Like, I'll go with that. But yeah, they're just, the corn, the dyes in the food are to squash fertility. Because see, if people don't want to die and they want to extend the life of their consciousness, then they will want a body to move into. And, well, bodies who already have souls and spirits associated with them don't give it up easily, and then they got to deal with all that. So they just want the people that want to play with them to be able to have bodies to go into, and that would be the combination of the biological and mechanical artificial intelligence run things. Yeah, that's what's going on. So when we see, oh, humanity's been destroyed, oh, God's brought disaster. No, he's brought disaster to the artificial stuff. The length of the longevity of the ability of humanity to reproduce naturally is gone. It is all the generations that will be born of man without God's interference. It's okay. Do you want free will? You can do what you do. And it talks about his hand, his right hand behind him, you know, and his hand weeping because of everything. And the complainers, they got a special place where they're going to transform, go through the fire, a transformation too, because he doesn't want to hear the complaints. This is what is going to happen. And until it all happens, until everybody shows their butts and what they're made of, it's going to redevelop. It's just going to continue until everything proves what it wants to prove to itself. And then God can step in and say, okay, there's nothing left. You have emptied the reproduction vessel. That's the end. Okay, these people were righteous. Get out of here. But of course, those are sitting on the fence. They got to go through transformative fires, and they won't inherit what the righteous will inherit. And the other ones go through fires and then go to some place where they just can't even be near the other ones. And they're miserable, so they're going to be miserable to one another. And I don't know, like, if those are just fires of transformation as well. But there's just a place set aside from them. They'll be kept different, separate from the others. Like, because you sit there and you understand the anxiety and the torment that made people the way that they are. Like the original Satan, as God is cutting up this rock with fire and creating angels, the first of the angels from fire, this one pops up and he says, oh, I want to make a throne up here. And God says, no, and casts him out. You know, that like, it was a newborn. It was like, I want to do this too. I want to throw it up there. Like, you see a kid, you know, they come in, they're like, oh, I would love to put a tree house there, and I'd love to do that, and I'd love to do that. And the homeowner, the parent, or whoever's like, this is my property. What you got designs on my property? Chill out, kid, you know? But they understand that, okay, this is a kid who has not been taught healthy boundaries, you know? So, like, you get it, but at the same time, in response to that, it wasn't, oh wow, I'm so sorry, oh my god, take me back. Now I understand, that you have a place created for us and it's beautiful and we're beautiful. No, instead it's just make everybody miserable around them. And when somebody has hurt you, like, to the core of your being, like, I bring through understandings, and then I see them like vultures picking off these understandings, marketing them on the top tiers of society. So they're already rich and wealthy. Now they're going to sell the understandings that come through people like me. And I'm happy for you. Are you getting happier personal lives out of this? I'm happy for you, but you know what? I still don't want to break bread with you. Now you're suddenly righteous. But only amongst your people. Like, you're not going to go out and buy me property, are you? You're not going to make sure I'm safe and warm and have everything I need, are you? No, they're still out there doing their meetings, their big, what are they? They rent stadiums and they have big talks and they make lots of money. But they're improving their relationships at home. They're still worried about making money, though. Still. They have multiple houses, lots of resources, assets, friends who would, well, only because they're all at the top and they want to keep it there. But, yeah. So evil, we don't have to look at them, We don't have to know them. Whatever happens to them. And I am so glad I am not bound for any heavenly office. Like, I'm sorry, my voice is off key today. It's a whip the fire. You've been replaced. Maybe it's just, but there are people that would be totally excited about that. Tell me what to do, when to do it. I will be right on time. They're eager beavers. They want to please. It's like some young kid. I was like, he's suffering. He's homeless. I'm like, would you be supportive? Like, would you vote for a universal basic income so everybody had something to fall back on so that they can know that their basic needs will always be met? And the young kid's like, no, man, I want to prove. I still got to prove that I can do this. Like, oh, there are people who have the need to prove things. You belong in heaven, child. Oh my God. So that's that. That's all that I got out of the books of Enoch that are bad. And we're not supposed to count as the word of God. I used to be irreverent about everything, and it's a sin to be irreverent towards people that have been put in charge. Oh, angel in charge of my repentance. Yep. He's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. In God's name, to the glory of Emmanuel, he's doing a good job in bringing my attention to what I need to repent for. Oh, eating crow is horrible. Especially since it makes you, like, you feel like you have a say. And you kind of have authority. makes you more welcome amongst the masses. And that's not what we're going for. We're going for paradise, man. Paradise. I smelt it the other day. I didn't realize it at the time, but I thought, wow. I went outside. I was waiting for my friend to pick me up so we could go do our shopping. And I just smelled a lot of fragrance on the breeze and spicy scents. And I was like, well, we just had some rain and stuff, and the thunderstorm the night before, it was really like thunder was, it was right over us. There was no counting 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi between lightning and thunder. They were just right here together. So I was like, oh, the branches broke off the trees, and so that's where that scent is coming from. Things are growing, but nothing's flowering yet. I'm not going to think too hard about it. I just know it smells really good out here. And then I looked up in the sky, and there's this large bird that could have only been like a really big hawk. Maybe an eagle, but I didn't notice like the coloring like of a bald eagle. That's the only eagle I would recognize. I've actually seen them real life in person, just taking my walks. Anyways, it's flying overhead. It's a beautiful day, beautiful fragrance, signs, if one considers birds a sign. And then I just read that the winds, they gather in the Garden of Eden every day and catch the scents of all the spices of the Garden of Eden upon themselves. And then they fly off to the ones who have been chosen to occupy Eden and the paradise so that they can smell them. And I'm like, oh, I'm not opposed to that place to go. And there are 955 heavens that nobody, not even the seraphim, are allowed to observe or know what's going on there until after that great day. There's a big secret. It's already been created and nobody's allowed to know. Pleasant surprises are good. But I suppose all those angels who failed at singing and standing behind God need some place to go to. Oh, God. I don't know why I laugh at that. I guess it's so that I don't become seriously afraid. That could be why. Because, oh, God, there's still something in me that wants to ridicule that. And that's bad, too. So all those times I laughed and I said I'm not sorry. I should really be sorry for it. Like, oh God, and I'm sick to my stomach now because I just brought attention to that. Like, I've seen too many comedy movies. I guess that's it. And it's affected my consciousness and my awareness. But you can't help but feel sorry because we all make mistakes down here. So, like, that there are just absolutely no mistakes made in heaven because God doesn't make mistakes. So, there must be a better place for them than being born. Because there's one angel, every time it opens its mouth and sings, every word it says, an angel is created. Like, that's a lot of angels. They're going to need some place to go when everything's in order. I get that. I can understand that. But again, it's the heavenly realms. I'm just happy to see paradise. I'd just be happy to be there. Roll around in the grass and yeah, That sounds like fun. I like that one better. Alright. Thanks for riding this part of the journey with me. I hope you're having fun with yours. Oh.